Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. Today, we're going to cover the most anticipated indie games for 2025. But first, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Ryan, and joining me, he's been living Mr. Sleepy Man in real life while on vacation all last week. It's Ace.
Oh, man. I just feel like I just woke up. What do you mean we're on a podcast?
Wake up, dude. Come on. We're ready to go. Alrighty. And then he's forcing me to probably play a game that's first in his anticipation list, so he's no longer first in my heart. It's John.
Hey, everybody. Ryan, first of all, you should be thanking me for that. That is my number one most anticipated game of this year, and I think it's going to surprise you, dude.
You know what? I hope so. I hope this game is amazing, and I hope I love it.
Well, in the event that you don't, I hope you have the courtesy to lie about it at least, and don't hurt my feelings.
There you go. There you go. Man, I'm excited, guys. So first, I want to get off on what have you guys been up to? What have you been playing?
Shamefully to say, I've not been playing an indie. I have been absolutely cracking out on Monster Hunter Wilds, man.
Oh,
it is an absolute blast. Me and our good buddy Gregosaurus just went ham on it and put like 36 hours in 2 days.
Oh, jeez. I will say he's been sending me different statistical things about Avowed and other games that I am currently playing. Like, why are you playing that? Come play Monster Hunter, man. What are you doing? Come on. He's getting close. He's going to win me over soon enough.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never had any interest in the Monster Hunter games, but Jack with Oddbug, when we did our segment with him, he really turned me on to it. Like, just the concept that you can sort of like play as long as you want, but also just kind of like get your little fix every once in a while. That is like right up my alley these days. So I may end up jumping on there.
That's
we're happy to have you at the hunt, John.
Yeah. There you go. And you create your cool animals and all that stuff. But
yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? A little bit about what we're going to do today is we're doing most anticipated indies for 2025. And I'm beyond excited. What do you guys think?
Yeah!
There it is.
Yeah, dude, I'm so stoked to be joining for this episode in particular. Ace and I chat a lot offline about this, but I think probably out of everybody who speaks on this show, Ace and me probably have the closest, most aligned sort of game tastes. And when I was looking at my most anticipated games of the year, basically they're all indies. So this is going to be awesome.
Indies are the way of the future, baby.
I agree.
There's something to be said about it because indies, and I'm sure Ace, you can speak on this a little more too, is there's an ability for an indie developer to kind of do a little bit more than anyone else can do. They don't have the budget. They don't have the big studio and the large staff, but they do have that very wide spectrum of creativity and that realm to where they can just explore and try things that otherwise, some board meeting with a bunch of suits is going to knock down and say, no, that's not mass appeal. We don't want that. And something that could be revolutionary. So I love, and being on this kind of the indie side of things and doing this with you, Ace, and talking with you, John, it's opened me up to a little bit more of this indie world where I'm putting back the graphic snob in me and putting away those big wide worlds to these kind of smaller experiences, if you will, that are just something that are that makes you just kind of hold these types of games a little bit more near and dear to your heart.
I feel like indies are like it's like art. When you're looking at it from a certain point of view, maybe you don't get it, but once you like really start to think about it, you're like, wow, this really speaks to me on a level that other thing couldn't.
Well, dude, and like I have such a like perfect example of this too. I'm like a Marvel ride or die kind of guy. And my wife and I went to go see Brave New World, the new Captain America movie, and super cool fight choreography. And I like simp for Captain America so hard. Like you could put him in anything and I'd watch it basically. But bro, it seems like the bigger budget stuff, there's like this weird situation where it just all becomes like the same. Like when the MCU was young, like each brand within it had its kind of own identity. And now, like, dude, this was like a cut and paste movie. Like everything was so absolutely predictable. And then Sarah and I went and saw this little indie movie called Companion. And oh my God, what a breath of fresh air. I think the thing that indies have over the big budget studios is that the creators are like laser focused on the vision and the overall kind of like Ness universe of the universe, that they know exactly what they want out of it. And they still have the freedom to go, no, you stay in your own lane.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. All right. Okay, guys, so let's get started, man. We got a lot of games to cover today. I'm super excited. I think I'm gonna take the mantle off the bat, and I'm gonna go with the big one. Gosh, I hope I get to play this game soon, and I'm so excited for it. I credit Josh for making me play the first iteration of this game, and I'm gonna go with Subnautica 2.
Yeah,
it is just it's one of those. It was one of those just kind of survival, amazing worlds that you just get lost in. You know, I would like dream of the ocean and dream of bladderfish and dream of diving deep down in my Cyclops and getting lost and losing batteries and then having to swim around and getting eaten. So there's just something to be said for a game like that just grips you and holds on tight. And so, man, I cannot wait for for this kind of next release of this world, whatever it may be.
The funny thing with Subnautica 2 is it's actually Subnautica 3 too, which is kind of funny,
right?
I had no idea.
The multiplayer aspect that they're promising with this second one is going to make this game so much fun, man.
Oh gosh,
do you think this is a game where you'd need to play the first one to appreciate the second one?
I don't think so. I think you could understand Subnautica pretty easily by jumping into the second one. The first one definitely had a story, but I don't think it would be paramount to playing the game.
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, it's definitely something that you could cover the story pretty quickly and just get a kind of a cliff notes of it for you there real quick. But overall, the main story is just your survival and your encounters along the way, which is just such a cool aspect of that game. So I wouldn't think you need to play the first to play the second.
Yeah, like out of all the game, I mean, I've been listening. First time caller, long time listener, guys.
All right.
I've been listening to this show for quite some time. You guys have been like my workout buddies for a couple of years at this point, and you have spoken so enthusiastically about this game that like it's always kind of been on my backlog, but I don't know, something just hasn't pushed me over the edge to go do it. But a second one definitely is, interesting. For some reason, I end up favoring the second game in most series. So,
well, they learned what they did wrong, and they can make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what you got for us, Ace?
Oh man, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this one. I backed this game on Kickstarter, I think a year or two ago.
Oh,
and it's from my favorite genre, as you may know, the Metroidvania genre.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. It's from a indie studio called Halberd Studios, and it's a game called Mariachi Legends. Oh man, I'm so excited! You have no idea how excited for this one I am. During the day, you play
more and more niched down the further into this we go.
But in this one, Mariachi Legends is a Metroidvania, as I said, where during the day, you're going to play as a detective named Pablo Cruz, solving mysteries and, working with your department and things like that. But during the night, you become the avatar of the death goddess, hunting down these, Mexican cartel bosses and serving justice, as it would be in the night. And it's just so cool, man.
It does. I mean, I'm watching some gameplay now, and it definitely has an old school Metroidvania vibe to it with that kind of art style with a little bit of the kind of grainy depth, and the combat, and it looks like and the kind of the whips and the way the attacks look. I mean, there's definitely something to it. I mean, man, that's cool that you're on the ground floor, which is such a cool aspect of the indie world, is that they are somewhat attainable. Like you can almost be part of the development of that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which kind of, you become like part of the game, which is awesome.
You get like a personal stake in it.
Yeah, and we've even found that with like our outreach. Like, dude, the indie developers are like stoked to talk about their games. You know, it's not just numbers on a spreadsheet to them. There's like heart in it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, oh, you want to hear about it? Yeah, absolutely, we'll come on. Love it. That's a good one, man. I know you got a soft spot in your heart for Metroidvanias, but this one actually looks pretty cool. But
I'm winning them over, folks. You heard it here first.
slowly but surely, Ace is ticking away on me with indie games. What you got for us, John?
Okay, so for anybody who's been a part of the Discord, I apologize in advance because I've been spamming this game for like the last 3 months. But my tied for number one most anticipated game for this year is a game called Reanimal. It is made by Tarsier Studios, and they are the makers of the original Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2. And I'm gonna just say Little Nightmares was a good game. Little Nightmares 2, in my opinion, is a masterpiece on just about every possible metric. And what they are doing with Reanimal looks like they're leveling up in every possible way. Do yourselves a favor, check out that trailer. It looks freaking incredible.
And by incredible, do you mean ridiculously scary and just out of this world?
Yeah, you got it. That's what I meant. Yeah.
I watched it and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just not going to sleep tonight. You know, no big deal.
Yeah, Josh said the same thing. Josh goes, okay, well, nightmare fuel. Great, thank you.
Those devs are great at that, man. Just making the scariest thing you can imagine.
Well, dude, and the best thing about them is like there's a lot of games now that like kind of like over rely on the gore and the shock factor to the point where you almost get like numb to it. And like, man, Little Nightmares 2 is a perfect example. They do so much with just the ambience and the sound design that like it gives you, I'm actually getting chills like just talking about it. Like it is perfection in my opinion in game design. Plus they know how long the game should be. They don't go too long in the tooth. They're like these short little digestible games that you can probably finish in 10 hours, experience a bunch of new game mechanics in that short time, and a wonderful encapsulated story that just sucks you in.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing to, I mean, there's a draw for that in a market for games that aren't 30, 40, 50, 60 hours. You know, you don't have to have that long time. And then as far as the gore stuff goes, you know, I've seen them. It doesn't bother me to see a body blown in half, or I've seen it a million times. And to me, it's just kind of almost lazy writing and lazy creation.
Totally agree.
When you have to create this atmosphere that takes so much more thought and depth. You know, watching the trailer, you see they're in this attic and there's little bits of light that shine through and you see the dust particles, and it just creates that kind of eerie world where you're like, you feel like you're a part of it. You're like, okay, this is real. So that's just, you know, it's cool when they go that kind of extra step and not just oh yeah, let's just throw some blood all over the place and body parts, you know. Well, there is a place for that. It's really cool to see people put in the thought for something
Outlast,
like this.
Right?
Yeah, Outlast. Yeah. They're the ones who do it well, I will say.
That is
exactly.
true.
There's definitely a time and a place for it.
Love it. All right, so I guess we'll go back to me for one I'm excited for. This one, it's weird because it's almost like it's like a nostalgic piece for me. I'm going with one. Josh and I had talked about it. Ace kind of reminded me of this game that I honestly totally forgot about. But I'm going to go with one called Mixtape. The trailer is, you know, and John C. exactly like I forgot about it, but I rewatched the trailer and I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this game because it was it was just one that it's, you know, even the trailer, it's like a throwback to like old school trailers. It's like in a world where, you know, and it's throwing you back and it plays all this old school music and it's kind of explorative as you kind of figure out what's going on, you know, throughout their lives and throughout this world. And so I'm excited to see more, excited to kind of see what they come up with this game. But yeah, I mean, undoubtedly a sucker for a good trailer, a la old school Redfall way back in the day. Did not pan out, and I will admit that one Ace remembers from when I picked
that one blowing up in your face.
When I first, that one definitely blew up. But I'm a sucker for a good trailer, so hopefully this one doesn't disappoint like Redfall did, because I'm pretty excited.
I mean, Mixtape is, from what I remember, it's a narrative, story-driven game, right?
Yes. About
nostalgia, and they're similar to like Life is Strange. It's kind of hard to screw those up.
Yeah, I mean, if you just create like killer music and just good, it's like it just seems like a good vibe game.
It does. You know? It seems like a good like nostalgia trip, good vibe kind of game. Like, man, where did these times go? I say as the 25-year-old in the room.
Gosh, you don't know how we are.
For the record, I am the oldest. Yeah, I could use a good nostalgia trip. I may be checking that out.
There you go. All right, what you got, Ace?
Oh man, you already know who this one is. It's our good buddy, Mr. Sleepy Man.
Mr. Sleepy Man.
Works all day and night.
That song was, after that trailer and I played that demo, dude, that song was stuck in my head for days.
Dude, I don't think I've never had a song that I've never actually heard stuck in my head, but
it's just
so
from
thank you
just
for that.
Third party, like just embedding it into your brain.
It's an earworm. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
But Mr. Sleepy Man, as we know, is a solo dev done by Devin Santi. It's a 3D sandbox platformer with, talking about nostalgia, like Banjo-Kazooie style, open world. It's insane. It's a fever dream. It's kind of scary too sometimes.
Some of the stuff is a little spooky. John, I know you haven't seen too much about it, but it's definitely it's super throwback to like N64 cartoony, outlandish graphics and like almost like Nickelodeon cartoon style look to it. But it's goofy and it pays attention to kind of what you're doing in the world. You know, where Ace and I talked about it when we talked on the last indie episode. If you skip the cutscenes, you know, he goes, "Oh, I guess you don't care what I have to say." All right,
that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you don't want to hear me," you know, and he just starts giving you gruff for that. So
that's pretty clever.
It's almost like a time loop. You kind of feeling, except for I guess you don't remember things in a time loop, but still, like it felt like that.
Yeah. So the problem is that as somebody who sleeps like a maximum of 2 to 3 hours a night, like for years at a time, I'm like prejudiced against the title, like that he gets to feel sleepy. So I may end up skipping that one. I'll take the Cliff's Notes on that one. And you guys can keep singing it though. I like the song.
Maybe that'll put you to sleep.
Maybe just loop you guys singing Mr. Sleepy Man.
Works all day and night.
Oh man! All right, let's in lieu of you going to sleep now, what do you got for us, John?
Oh man, if I could, I would. So I'll throw one out of left field for you guys too. Ooh. And this one, there hasn't really been a lot in the way of gameplay that's come out yet, but it's combining two things that I have a really strong fondness for. I grew up in SoCal and was a really, really big fan of Disney and Disney properties and sort of the old school hand-drawn Disney animation. It will always have a special place in my heart. And I feel like it's shaped a lot of what animation is today. I mean, animation exists in its current state because of the Disney legacy. Mm-hmm. And in survival horror, because I like creepy stuff and watching people die slowly.
Whoa! All right.
Fictionally, in fiction, I should clarify. There is a game coming out called By Sweet Carol that combines those two genres in a really interesting way. Again, it's limited stuff that's come out so far, but we have sort of that old hand-drawn Disney aesthetic, sort of circa Sleeping Beauty era, maybe Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast era, combined with this really dark, moody kind of Little Nightmares sort of atmosphere. And it just looks great. Like, I cannot wait. I can just see so much fun to be had with the mixing of the really, really bubbly kind of, Disney vibe, and then juxtaposing that with this dark, gritty, sort of Resident Evil style survival horror kind of theme. It looks really cool and unique. And honestly, I mean, like, dude, we have been talking for 20 minutes now, and like, we've covered a huge span of genres. Indie does it better than everyone, but seeing something new, seeing something fresh is like not very common. And this feels new and fresh. I haven't seen anything like this.
It definitely does look. You can see it, in that design, like you were talking about, almost like OG, like Anastasia, or that kind of grainy look, but it's got a little bit of pops of color, but it does have that dark kind of nature to it. I also do want to say, I do think it's quite funny that within 30 seconds you said that all this stuff about Disney, and then you talked about like body parts and dismembering and all these things. So I love how those things went together within 30 seconds.
That's probably the sleep deprivation, sleeping or talking there.
There you go.
No, go ahead, I'd completely forgotten about this one until you mentioned it, because I didn't remember the name at all. But as soon as I pulled it up, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this.
It has an unmistakable video
this is
or
so
visual
unique.
Style.
It reminded me of, I don't know if you've heard of a game called The Withering Rooms.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It very much reminds me of that, but with this more unique Disney cartoon aesthetic. And it's super impressive, man.
I agree. I'm stoked for it.
That's honestly, as a game design kind of style, make these games that are somewhat adult content, but designed in a way that was animated from like those adults' childhood. To give them that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling, but then they can kind of be adults playing like adult content. That kind of does go together. It's a smart way to do kind of game design.
Well, dude, and like, so this is something that I'm also a big Star Wars simp too. But that's something that Andor did particularly well, is that I think they took sort of like the really authentic visual style of the old Star Wars, where everything's practical, and the sets are sort of like retro future, like kind of almost, I don't know, almost vapor punk or whatever. But they adulted up the storyline, and it's interesting to me that you haven't seen more of that happen with the Disney stuff. I mean, it's like, it's ubiquitous. Everybody knows, everybody grew up with it, basically. I mean, like, Ace, you're the youngest guy in the room, but I'm sure you've seen some of the Disney, traditional animated stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so seeing them take that style and, like you said, Ryan, bringing it to a more mature audience, that, I don't know, man. It's got me locked. They've got my money.
Love it. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to check it out. I'm a big Disney guy too, so that one will definitely be on my list. And I'm glad, because this is why we're here. Because I had no clue about this one. Ace, you know all things indie, so you kind of had a little bit of an inkling of what that game is. But I'm sure a lot of people have no idea, and they're gonna look it up and be ready for it. So awesome. Well, I am going to come back with my third game right after this break.
Hey y'all, it's Editor Greg here. Bring it in. Let's talk for a minute. If you're tired of all the toxic lobbies and you're ready to make meaningful connections with other friendly gamers, then let me tell you about the family we've been building on Discord. Community game nights, relaxed conversations, study sessions, real lifelong friendships, and much more is what makes the squad mates better than the rest. Links to join the family can be found at videogamerspod.com. So join the fun today and start talking with like-minded gamers. Before I keep y'all too long, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without all of you, this community would not be as incredible as it is today. Now, let's kick back and watch the rest of this episode together.
All right, I am back here to give you probably everybody's most anticipated game in the indie world. And Ace is like making a face right now. He's like, yeah, right. He's like, get out of here. This one I am very excited for. It is from the creators of No Man's Sky. And this one goes by a little name of Light No Fire.
Oh.
Yeah. This one, man, if you want to like ride dragons, you want to go in a procedurally generated world where you can just do anything, and all these it's just this one, for the way it looks, I'm always surprised when I see these because I'm like, that's an indie? What? That's an indie game? And it shows how wide and that spectrum is of indie games. How many, you have these little kind of pixel art kind of, teeny little 12 megabit games, and then you have these monstrosities that are just blow your mind that it's an indie. And there's nothing else to say other than just it looks amazing. I'm very, very excited for this. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I mean, based on the absolute monster that is No Man's Sky,
right?
Coming from the same developer, I think we're in for a massive treat. Because this developer has definitely learned his lesson from No Man's Sky. That's not to give you a half-baked product, so...
That's what I learned, because I was at Best Buy buying a physical copy. I bought a hard copy of No Man's Sky on day one. I went to 3 Best Buys to find it. I got it. I could barely play the game. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I was such a big turnoff. They made a bunch of changes. They learned from their issues and their faults. And from what I've heard now, I haven't gone back, but it's like out of this world.
Bro,
get it?
I love it when devs respond to the audience feedback like that, man.
Yes.
It's so welcome. Like they did it with Final Fantasy 14. The Sonic the Hedgehog movies famously did it, man.
Yep.
I mean, like, bro, if Star Wars and Marvel would just get on that bandwagon, listen to the fans, guys. We have the answer, I swear. just listen to us, please.
No, don't start. This is going to turn into a Star Wars podcast real quick. 'Cause I have a lot to say about that. We'll stick to gaming, but like you said, man, it's to have enough humility and to be humble enough as a developer to listen to the people saying like, this isn't it, man. You guys need to fix this, and then they go and they do, and then they make it 10 times better, and everyone's like, yes, this is what we wanted. Thank you. They learned from all that, and then they're coming back with this, this fantasy world. I just think, it's not as much of an undertaking with No Man's Sky, to where it's just like millions and untold numbers of worlds. This is an Earth-sized world, but it's all procedurally generated, and there's just that allows them to put so much more depth into those designs and into that generation. So. Yeah, man, I'm stoked for this one. I have a feeling when it comes out, it's going to take a lot of my time, and hopefully it does, because that means it'll be really good.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked, so very stoked for that one, man.
Love it. All right, what you got for us, bud?
I know, like, it's real hard to get people interested in these kind of games for some reason. But I'm going to be talking about a little game called Mouse PI for Hire, which is a boomer shooter kind of game, which if you don't know what a boomer shooter game is, basically Doom, Doom is a boomer shooter. That is what the genre is. I had to look it up because nobody knows. Nobody knows what it's called. But we do now. Boomer shooter with a 1930s rubber hose aesthetic, where once again you will be playing as a detective, but this detective is a mouse. And you'll be... go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned that, like, you don't know who's heard of this game, but bro, I bet you'd be surprised, man, with his big of a runaway hit as Cuphead was. Like, there is a market for this. Dude, I see this game going far, man. I think this game's going to find a big audience.
I mean, based off what I've seen and how impressive all the animation is just from the trailers alone, this game is doing justice, because games that take on that style only do well when they put the effort forth to actually make it accurate to that 1930s style.
Dude, and it looks gorgeous.
It does. It's insane.
It nails that aesthetic. Absolutely, man. It looks gorgeous.
If you're going to do that look, you have to do it well, and they certainly did it well. I know I watched your video, Ace, as far as covering it, and I just don't know. I mean, I don't know what your thing is with rats and mice and whatnot, but like, you just somehow have a knack for finding any game that ever includes them. I may send you one, a mouse or something for Christmas, but it does have that cool look where it's one of those there's not a ton to it, I don't think, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. That doesn't mean it's not going to be enjoyable, and you'll get your 10 hours out of it. And that's what's so neat about these indie games is, a lot of times they're like $10.
Yeah.
$15. Like, we played Headliners, that was $7. Like, I played it, 3-4 sessions. I more than got my $7 worth, and there's something to be said about that with these, types of indie games. But this one definitely does look, it does look pretty neat.
I mean, plus it's not only just the shooting, you're also a detective, so you'll be gathering clues to find your way to the boss or whatever else. There's not a whole lot of information, so I don't exactly know what you're going to be doing, what the story is, but man, does this game look good.
I'm just imagining some like human guy who's like, this is the detective? He's a mouse. Did you know he's a mouse? Oh man, that's great. All right, John, let's hear your rat or mouse based indie game next.
I do want to give a shout out to Jack and John over at Oddbug for their enlightening. Tales of Iron 2, great games. My next game is sadly not mouse themed that I know of, but their studio happens to be named after a rabbit. It is Harebrained Studios' new game coming out called Graft. And what I'm going to say about Graft is, as soon as you get done with this episode and listen to 5 other episodes, and then between that and listening to yet another 5 episodes, take a quick break and watch the Graft trailer. If nothing else, the song in that trailer is going to hook you. It's some of the best like teaser music I've probably ever heard in a game. But aside from that, this is kind of like a top-down. I don't know what you'd call it. Would you call it, Ryan? I know you've seen the trailer. Would you call this like a survival horror-y type game, like a cyberpunk sort of? I'm having trouble putting to words what I would call the actual aesthetic, but I would call it cyberpunk meets horror. And again, what I look for, especially in these like preview phases, we have no idea what these things are actually going to play like. And frankly, I think that's a plus. Like when I look at a game and I go, oh, that's this, that's Street Fighter meets, I don't know, Street Fighter meets Hades or something. I don't like that. Like I want to be curious about what I'm getting into, and I am with this. But what I can tell you is that the trailer made me feel something. I like walking away from that little 1-minute clip. I go, oh God, I want to know more about this universe, and it looks fantastic.
It does, and I will second. The music is some of the best I've heard. I mean, just from the trailer, it's some of the best I've heard in years. From whole game soundtracks, like it. I am beyond stoked just to hear what the rest they have on that end. I would say I do agree. It does give that little bit of cyberpunk, but like almost like maybe cyberpunk alien.
Oh yeah, good observation.
To it.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, like something like that,
actually,
to where you're kind of in that kind of sci-fi space world where stuff's coming at you, and good luck, brother. Something like that. Yeah,
that's kind of like the '90s version of what the future would look like, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really good description. I like it.
At least like what they thought it would look like.
I wish it did, man.
Right?
Yeah.
But no, this one definitely does look cool. I'm thoroughly excited to see kind of where this one goes. And it just shows too how much the music and the sound affects a game. I mean, like you see those videos and those movies where they just take the sound away, or they input sound in like another kind of video clip, and it totally changes the mood of what is there. And so it shows how important that genuinely is to a game. And good audio, good sound makes a difference, in a game.
It makes all the difference, man.
Yeah.
Like for me, usually this sort of cyberpunk dystopian horror doesn't usually, catch my attention as much. It's just not my thing usually. But I saw this and I was like, this is special. This has something.
I agree.
And it doesn't even have rats.
It doesn't. I mean, we don't know. There might be rats.
That's true.
There may be rats. Let's not write it off.
There could be rats.
They'll be crawling across the pipes and whatnot. They're like, there they are.
They did it.
Game of the year, rats.
It's gotta get, yeah. Well, being that I am not an indie aficionado, I'm tapped out on 3 guys, so I'm just gonna hand the baton over to you, Ace, on the next
Oh,
game.
yeah, all right.
Because I'm sure I have your list, and there's some very good ones, so I don't want to poach you, and I'm just gonna let you go on your next one here.
All right. I think this is probably, I'm poaching this one from John too, unfortunately. But
Oh, yeah.
we have this one shared. But this is probably everyone's most anticipated indie if you played the first one.
Yeah.
And that would be the full release of Hades 2.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, there we go, everyone.
Yeah.
Hades 2, famously developed by Supergiant Games. Hades was a surprise hit for the year it came out. And just, as I've said before, absolutely set the standard of quality for what we expect out of roguelikes with this style and this genre. And it's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out there, Ace, but at this point, it's like, this is one of those games where can you even call this an indie anymore? I mean, God, it's so good, so popular. It's exactly. It's a masterpiece.
It's so polished. It's so beautiful. There's so many spoken lines, unique pieces of art and dialogues. This is a labor of love. How did they afford to make this?
And for $29.99.
I know.
Well, dude, and the fact that I'm one of these guys where I generally, unless I'm really dialed into a game, I'm hitting X to get through all the dialogue as quick as possible. And this game isn't real rich on cutscenes. I don't think there's many cutscenes at all in the first one anyways. But the dialogue is so witty and engaging that I listened to every single line of dialogue in it. It was such a good game, the first one.
That's cool. So I think I told you this, John. I have yet to play Hades. So I am excited. I think I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I check out Hades first if I was a newcomer?
Absolutely.
Dude, it is a masterpiece. And it actually has a very specific purpose too. Switch is still one of my favorite systems. Prior to coming on the podcast and meeting with you fine gentlemen, I used to travel a lot for work and for pleasure, but traveling a lot. My wife and I were traveling at least a couple times a month and spending a lot of time in airplanes and airports and stuff. And Hades might be the ultimate travel / short time game where you can pick it up over and over again and play it as long as you want or as short as you want and have a memorable, worthwhile experience with it. And bro, for a roguelike, it is absolute perfection. There's so many different ways that you can approach every single level and boss. I generally tend to favor you, Ryan, where I'm I don't want to die 100 times fighting Melania. That upsets me. I get upset at the game. Hades, dude, I plowed right through that to the end, man. That's the one thing I've got on Josh is that I beat Hades and he did not.
Oh! We're going to clip that. I'm going to take the time. I'm going to take the time right here. We're going to save that and send it to Josh. I love it. That's cool. I didn't think about the fact that you could play it on the Switch. So that to me, Josh is chiming in here. He fired him up. Sorry, we're a little behind the scenes there, but anyways, I do get late at night. You get sleepy, Ryan, and I don't want to sit at the computer. I don't want to sit on the couch. I go and I lay in bed and I doom scroll my life away for half an hour to an hour before I am ready to fall asleep. So the option to sit and play such a substantial game in bed with my Switch, that would be money for me. So I'll tell you one thing right now. I will download Hades today and I'm going to play it tonight.
Sick, dude.
Awesome,
you're
man.
Love it.
Awesome.
It's going to set a whole new standard for what you expect from a roguelike. Yeah,
I'm amped up because then I'm going to beat Hades before Josh does as well. So we'll have two.
I don't know. In the off-pod chatter, he says reinstalling Hades right now.
Oh, love it.
I guess I'll pass it on to you then, John. What you got?
Yeah, so I knew one of us was going to cover it, and that's awesome. I don't want to dive too deep into this next one, so I'm just going to throw out a little special mention for me. But Little Nightmares 3, again, big fan of the first two. Part 3 is taken on by a different studio. I think it's actually Bandai that's doing the third one, so I don't even know if you can call it indie anymore. Oh. The previews still look pretty pretty good and pretty faithful to the originals, but I'm not really sure whether to call that an indie anymore, just like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'm not really sure whether to call that an indie or not. But the game that I am most excited about, right up there with Reanimal, kind of fits into the niche where you guys were talking about, like, how can you have these little simple pixel art games and then also still call this an indie game, is Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Oh my golly gosh. That game looks so good. I can't believe an indie studio pulled this off. And as somebody who, I've had a lot of wonderful moments in my life. I've traveled all over the world. I have built and sold a successful business. My wife is my best friend. I'm thankful every day for her and for this awesome life I have. But some of my favorite life experiences were playing Final Fantasy games. Like, I put those right up there with like real life, IRL type experiences that I've had. Yeah. And this game, based on what I've seen so far, looks more Final Fantasy than Final Fantasy. The aesthetic of it, the mood, I know, Ryan, you're not a big fan of turn-based combat. You'll get there, son. The older you get, the more you'll appreciate it. Yeah, you'll grow out of it. But it looks like it was basically designed for me, and I'm very thankful for that. If you guys haven't checked it out, please check out the trailer. That game looks absolutely fantastic. And my early call here, game of the year, I bet.
Wow.
What?
Bold.
It's a bold claim.
That is a bold claim, my friend. So I just pulled it up for the first time ever. You guys have said it so many times. You've told me to look it up.
Oh, really?
I forget every time.
Yeah.
This is indie? This is
right?
This is incredible looking. Like,
yeah. Right. How can you put Balatro and this in the same general category?
See, I look at this and I see, like you said, Final Fantasy, but also like it brings me back to like Xenoblade Chronicles. Have you ever played those? It's just beautiful to look at and so stunning. And I just know the combat's going to be incredible.
And something that it does really well that I loved from the old, like, I know I actually got into Final Fantasy at 8. So I kind of missed 7, and the 7 remakes haven't really done it for me, honestly. Mm-hmm. I got in at 8, but really I peaked, like my renaissance period for gaming was Final Fantasy 10. And even 10-2, as cringe as there was a lot of great game dynamics in 10-2, but 10 and 12, man, like the fact that you had these like really kind of like dark undertones that, like it's the world in threat, like, it's every major game, every Final Fantasy game basically has the whole world is going to die as its underlying.
Yeah, that's usually.
But you also go to these like wonderful worlds where it's like fantastical and you can like just go there and it's almost becomes like a cozy, where it's like, man, I just want to like smile and look at my pixelated sunset for a while and play cards with this dude on the beach or go fishing or whatever. And the new Final Fantasies of 15 got there kinda, but 16 big miss for me, man. 16 really? and the 7 remakes for me, man. It's just like they try to double down on the dark, gloomy aesthetic, and that just doesn't say Final Fantasy to me. This Claire Obscura looks like it checks all those boxes, and I highly encourage, I know you guys have talked about it ad nauseum on the show, but for all you lurkers out there who haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet, now's your opportunity. The Kool-Aid is delicious. Mwah.
It does. It has that look. I mean, I am a self-proclaimed hater of the turn-based combat. To me, I like to make my decisions real time, on the fly, in the moment. When I see the axe flying at me, I like to jump out of the way and, try to attack or shoot an attack, do something like that. I don't like to sit and select what I want to do and then wait for everybody's
So when
turn.
you play chess with somebody, you just slap all the pieces at the opponent?
Yeah.
Like,
these are all my moves right there. Deal with it, No, that's why I play checkers, No,
okay. This makes sense now. This makes sense.
But yeah, I'm actually, for someone who's not excited with that world and that type of game, I will say that this one has piqued my interest. It is something, hopefully it's not just because I have to play it, but I do think that it's something that they've done a good job creating a world that is enticing. It's almost exhilarating. Like, the look of it is just amazing. It's something that we haven't seen in a long time. Like you said, it's kind of is that throwback to like the real Final Fantasy games that give you that feeling. So I'm excited, man. I don't know a ton about it like you do, but from what I have looked at and researched on it, it looks pretty sweet.
Game of the year. I'm calling it. Game of the year.
Bull. I can't wait to replay that later.
It's going to be a trash fire.
Right. Alrighty. Well, we're running a little short on time here. I think we're going to get one more each. I'm going to go with one. We won't spend too much time on this because the more we say it, the longer it will take, and then it won't be this year. And I'm sure you already all know what we're going to go with. I'm going to go with Silk Song.
Oh, the curse continues. 5 more years.
I almost don't even care anymore.
I'm just going to keep doing it every year until the game comes out. That's what's going to happen. I am a big, Castlevania. I'm a huge Metroidvania guy. More old school than a lot of the newer stuff. I know, Ace, you are obviously a huge Metroidvania guy. Something about Hollow Knight was just it changed that kind of realm of gaming in Metroidvanias and made a lot of copycats, made a lot of people think, okay, these types of games still are alive. These are great. And there's something that they're doing with Silk Song that they haven't told us yet, that they're taking 5 million years to accomplish. But you know what? I have all the faith in the world in them. I am very impatient. I want it now, but I'll wait, and hopefully it's this year, but I'll wait.
I have no doubt. Go ahead.
See, like you said, with Hollow Knight kind of brought back the interest in the Metroidvania genre.
Yes,
and
dude.
it did it so well that we kept getting free content updates and kind of got spoiled with how good Hollow Knight is and how much of it there was. And now Team Cherry's just like, we're not talking to you anymore.
Yep. We got nothing to say.
Look, guys, it was and is a really good game, but man, there are, like, in that genre, there is a wealth of amazing games. That's probably my favorite genre right now. Ace, I think it's probably one of yours too, if not your favorite.
Yeah.
but dude, I'm playing, I don't know how I slept on it, but thanks to Super Mario 64 on the Discord for recommending this, the Prince of Persia game, the most recent one. Dude, so fun. And then Ace turned me on to Ender Lilies and Ender Magnolia.
Oh, yeah,
Those look fantastic. If you haven't checked out Ori, either of the Ori games, man, are those good. They're so good. I mean, like, you got so much to choose from. I have no doubt Hollow Knight or Silk Song is going to be a great game, but like, man, I don't know. Who cares? If it comes out, fine.
when it finally, it's like, come on, we'll get excited when it's here. But I'm just gonna say it every year. That's my most anticipated for the year.
I feel like you're going through the stages of grief here, John.
Maybe I'm at acceptance. Yeah.
We're at denial.
I'm perpetually in denial.
You'll get there, guys. You'll get there.
All right, what's your last one, Ace?
All right, man. How do you guys feel about fixed cameras and tank controls?
Oh no.
This is what I like to call a spiritual successor to Silent Hill and Resident Evil, known as Tormented Souls.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is it's a super hard game. I'll say it is punishing. You can't save unless you find like a record to put on the tape player and save your progress. So you save too early and you get a bunch of stuff done, you don't find another one, you're kind of in trouble. But I'll just say it's getting a sequel called Tormented Souls 2. I have no idea where they're going to go with the sequel based on how the first one ended, but I'll tell you how the first one started. You play as this girl named Caroline who gets a letter from a hospital that when she opens it, it has a picture of 2 twins, and on the back it says, like, I know what you did, or something like that. She starts having nightmares until she goes to this hospital. As soon as she walks in, she gets knocked out, wakes up naked in a bathtub, missing her eye.
What?
And then the game just says, go.
Yeah.
And you unravel this whole mystery behind the twins, what happened to your eye, where you are, what's going on. It's crazy.
That's wild. This I mean, it looks I'm looking at, because I had no clue about this game, Tormented Souls.
Never
2,
heard of
so,
it.
Yeah, so but these screenshots are all. I'm wondering, is this all gameplay?
Yeah.
On the Steam stuff? Yeah, I mean,
there's no cutscenes really. It's all gameplay.
Again, this is one of those where it's like, dude, I mean, this is almost like a cathedral with these intricate stair railings and kind of Gothic style church aesthetic to it. And I mean, this is another one of those just nods to like, man, this is an indie game, which is wild to me, but the development looks killer. I'm always down for a good, just kind of spooky, psychological, wild ride. Yeah, I mean, already looking at the pictures, there's like a weird looking doll person thing in like a freezer. And so, yeah. Why are you trying to freak me out, man? I gotta go to bed.
I'll wait till you see the guy in the wheelchair with knives for hands, right?
Knife hands?
Knife hands, man.
Now we're... Any game with knife hands, I'm in. So you can count me in on that right away.
Well, my last one is called Knife Hands, Ryan. Just for
oh boy, my favorite.
The best game.
No, Ace, I eat member berries for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, man. And like the old school days of fixed camera, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil with like the limited resources, man. That tickles something in me that I miss a lot. And games have largely moved away from that. So this will probably be one that I check out for sure.
Oh, you
I can't wait to just like try to run into a door and just run to the wall.
Oh, I've been trying to play it on keyboard and mouse, and that's what I keep doing. And I was like, no.
Right? Yeah. See, I knew. I remember. I remember. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, last for the best. So let's hear it, John.
Take us home.
Last for the best.
Yeah. Best for last?
Yeah,
there you go. Hey, attaboy. My last one is a game that Josh actually is playing. He's playing the demo of right now, and I think it's supposed to come out in a couple of weeks. So if anybody's itching for something to play, kind of on the sooner end of things, R.I.P. Silksong, is a game called Grit and Valor. And Grit and Valor... it looks like kind of like I don't know. Again, I'm not quite clear on what the gameplay is at this point. I should probably download the preview, the demo, if I'm being serious. But what I can tell you is mechs, and mechs are awesome. Like robots. Oh my God, I'm in no matter what. And I'm a big Warhammer geek. This looks like pulled straight out of the grimdark future, and it looks great. So, I mean, really, I don't have much to go by other than the aesthetics of the game at this point, and that the devs have been like super cool to talk to. But this is one that's right around the corner. I haven't downloaded the demo because I'm going to be playing the game. But highly recommend it. Looks good.
It is a pretty sweet. I have played the demo. Josh and I talked about this earlier in the week. It's pretty neat. The way you can, the strategery used to, like, high ground matters.
Cool.
Fire versus other mechs that are susceptible to fire matters. And then, like, your power-ups. And then you have waves coming in where you have a chance to go get this power-up chest, but you have to go and run and grab it and upgrade and get back in time and place your mechs before the next wave comes. So there is a lot of cool aspects to the world as you kind of get through those levels. So it is pretty neat.
Is it kind of like is it turn-based? Is it like a tactical RPG, like a Fire Emblem?
I was thinking Fire Emblem. That's where my brain went.
I wouldn't say it's really turn-based. It's more of from what I played on the demo, it's more of just kind of like waves coming through, and you get your upgrades, you get set up, you defend your almost like a tower defense style.
Oh, okay.
Where the waves come through, you defend them, get them, set up however is most advantageous for you, and then go on to the next one, do your upgrades, and so on and so forth. I didn't play a ton of the demo, but what I played was pretty neat. So I'm excited to see kind of where this one goes. I know it says Diesel Punk real-time tactics roguelike. So
just put punk after any word and it becomes cool.
It makes everything cooler.
Yep. Yeah. I'm in. Sweet. Well, that was a lot of fun, guys. We had a lot of games to cover there, and I think we're gonna, I would like to say that we'd hurt a lot of people's wallets with these, but they're indies, so they're not gonna hurt people's wallets. That's the cool part. Is,
dude. Yeah. I wanna hit on that point. Support your local indie gamers or game developers. I just played a game called Arise on my Switch, because I've been moving, and so that's like my primary console right now. And this game had just like a wonderful little Pixar story attached to it. $2. Wow. I played for that game. Best $2 I've spent all year.
That's awesome. That's what's so cool about the indie stuff is that the price point is so affordable to take risks on these types of games, which is just awesome. But speaking of taking a risk, we know there's a lot of podcasts out there in this world, and we're so happy that you guys decided to listen to us. If you like what we do and you feel that we've contributed something to you or your life, maybe think about contributing a little bit back and helping support us. We have Patreon on multiplayersquad.com. If you head over there, you can join as little as $5 a month. It really helps us out kind of creating all this content. We're trying to add a lot of new shows. We're trying to bring on devs and voice actors and all these different things. So all your support really helps that out. So again, multiplayersquad.com. Love to have you over there. Again, you get Discord perks and a lot of cool options as well, early access to episodes, so on and so forth. But other than that, did you guys have any other kind of closing thoughts or any other games you want to just give a shout out to?
I think this is going to be an absolutely legendary year for indie horror games. I will say that. So totally far, agree. They are looking good.
That's probably a good call, man, because a lot of these seem to be that dark kind of horror, gritty kind of natured games, and they all look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I want to piggyback on what you just said to Ryan. For anybody who's been listening to the last few weeks of content, you've probably noticed that there's been a theme of giving back to charities that mean a lot to us. I think everybody here on staff at Video Gamers Pod has a real soft spot for kids who are going through disadvantaged situations, whether they are, in the pipeline for Make-A-Wish or they are in foster care, displaced from their families. And we have, all of us, been a kid. Most of us started gaming when we were kids. And that's a magical time in your life. And it's also a very vulnerable time in your life. And it has been really fortunate that we've been able to be in a position where we've been able to give back. And how you, the listener or the viewer, however you're consuming this podcast, can help is please follow the podcast on whatever platform you're consuming it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, etc., and leave us a review. That helps us so much for being able to contribute to these awesome causes, and you get to be a part of it. You get to be a part of improving lives around the world, which is what we are all about here, one game at a time.
Love it. All right. Now, everybody, remember these games that we shouted out today. Give us yours. Hop on over to our Discord. The link is in our episode descriptions on all the social platforms and all our social medias. Come on over, tell us what your most anticipated games are. If you think we're crazy, tell us that as well. And then save this and remember for the end of the year when you can give us a bunch of gruff saying, you guys are so dumb because these games were horrible. Or you can tell us how smart we are. That's probably less likely, but hopefully that's true. So that's all for us today. But until next time, happy gaming. See ya!
I'm so sorry, Slay the Spire 2 fans. Peace out.
Toodaloo, everybody.
Thank you and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast Zen Hour.